Target was like my happy spot, a place where I could relax and be myself. My best friend Madison and I would go there often after school on lazy days. We'd buy cute things just so we wouldn't get in trouble for hanging around too much. The people who worked there knew us, and they were cool about it, which made it even better. But a few weeks ago, things took a scary turn. Madison and I were in the makeup section, talking and having some tea, when a strange guy came up to us from the shaving aisle. He looked kind of creepy, like he didn't belong in a store.
Hey ladies, mind if I ask you something?
He said, showing 2 deodorants. Madison and I chuckled, hoping he'd get the hint and go away. But nope, he stuck around, and I felt like I had to say something. Why? I asked, trying to be polite. We're talking right now,
I know.
he said with a weird smile.
I was eavesdropping. You both seem nice, and I thought you could help me pick a deodorant. You know, since you're probably dating or something.
Madison was annoyed with a guy who wouldn't leave us alone. He asked us to help him choose something, but we just wanted him to go away. He said,
Come on, ladies, help me out. I want to attract girls like you.
It started to feel weird and creepy. I got mad and shouted, You were listening to our conversation. Why should we help you? Madison told him, Just pick what you like and leave us alone. No matter how much we teased him, he seemed to enjoy it, getting closer with a creepy smile. We tried to stop him, but he kept going. Really, she chuckled, then managed to compose herself just enough to tell him off. On behalf of all attractive girls, no. Every girl out there, none of them would be interested in you, no matter how good you smell. Feeling proud, I joined in. Yeah, seriously. You resemble the clogged drain in my ex-boyfriend's shower after he shaved. You know. Madison slapped me on the shoulder, laughing. What does that even mean? It means you're really gross, like a dirty and messy clump of yuck. And you're even shorter than my ex-boyfriend? So why don't you go back to where you came from? Because that's where you belong. We thought our words would make him leave, but the weird guy just stood there looking confused. We kept laughing, thinking we had won. Then, he smirked again.
I get it.
He quietly said, putting one deodorant on the shelf and opening the other. I guess I won't ask nicely then. We didn't like the guy, but then something surprising happened. Out of nowhere, he took off his shirt. We were shocked and expected him to leave, but instead, he revealed a really scary, hairy chest. I screamed, hoping someone would help us. We really needed an employee to step in at this point. We were all stunned, watching him act like everything was normal, putting on deodorant. It was so weird that we had to tell someone in the store. Before anyone else showed up, I heard a loud zapping sound. It was Madison using a stun gun she always carried in her purse. Creepy guy got tense and started writhing in pain. Finally, he let go, and I stumbled back, fell onto a shelf, but shockingly, he was still standing. I got scared, so I took out my little mace spray from my purse, ready to protect us. I didn't want him to escape or hurt us again, so I sprayed the whole bottle in his face. All 3 of us got hit by the strong smell, but he got it the worst. I kept spraying until he fell to the ground, in pain, crying like a baby. When the bottle was empty, Madison jumped on him and used the stun gun on his neck again. She didn't stop. I was almost going to step in and stop that guy by hurting him where it hurts, but a bunch of store workers showed up and stopped everything. Creepy guy causing trouble got arrested, and I'm still going to make sure he gets in trouble. But the weirdest part is, I got banned from Target just because I used mace to protect myself. I couldn't understand how that was fair. I've been a loyal customer, and it felt like they didn't care about me. If Target was okay with losing me as a customer, that's fine. I'll shop somewhere else, where I don't have to worry about being attacked by weird people. This unexpected event at Target turned a normal shopping trip into a crazy story. It felt like our safe and happy place became a battleground. Even though things got chaotic, I couldn't stop wondering if there was more to this strange encounter. Target used to be a place we loved, but now it turned into a place where our strength and friendship were tested. Last week, I went to Target one evening to buy some skincare products. The store was not busy, and there was only one set of doors on the left side. I walked to the far right side where they have the skincare products. When I got there, the aisle was empty. After a few minutes, I felt someone else come into the aisle. I couldn't see them, but I could feel that they were standing at the far end of the aisle for a long time. I got curious and casually looked around. I noticed a guy just standing there, looking at me. His expression was neither friendly nor mean, just blank. We locked eyes for a moment, but it made me uncomfortable, so I looked away. I decided to leave and went to the next aisle to get what I needed. Later on, I saw the same guy coming into the new aisle I was in. He came closer, and it made me a bit scared. I asked if he needed help, and he said yes, but didn't say anything else. I chose to walk away, left that aisle, and went into a different one. I walked to the back of the store, passing the food aisles. I heard a guy following me about 20 feet away. It felt strange, and I just wanted him to stop bothering me. In one of the back aisles, near the electronics section, I saw a Target worker. I went up to them and explained that a guy had been acting weird and following me. The worker said they would watch out and call security if necessary. It made me feel a little better. I went back to the skincare product section because I wanted to look at a few more things. I already had the 2 items I wanted to buy with me. While I was there, I didn't see the man at all, which was good. After a little while, I decided to get one more thing before going to the checkout. Checkouts were at the back of the store, near the exit, but as I was halfway there, I saw the man again, walking around near the checkouts. To avoid him, I quickly went into one of the aisles. I waited for a bit, hoping he would go away, but when I checked again, he was still there, walking around. I got worried that something bad might happen. What if he followed me to the dark parking lot? I didn't want to take that risk, so I avoided going to the checkout where he could see me. I thought about telling a store worker again, but I was afraid he might wait for me outside. Target security might not be able to help much, so I decided to leave the things I wanted to buy. I put them back on the shelf carefully. I went towards the checkout area, and the man was farther away, not noticing me. Since some checkout lanes were closed, I went behind the aisles without him seeing me. I crouched down behind a closed checkout lane, slowly making my way to the exit. When I was about to leave the store, I stood up and walked out, without the man noticing me. I might have looked strange to anyone who saw me, but I didn't mind. I just wanted to get away. To make sure I wasn't followed, I quickly walked through the parking lot to my car and drove home without seeing the man again. But then something surprising happened. While driving home, I felt uneasy. It was late, and the streets were really quiet. When I got to my house, I saw a car parked nearby without its headlights on. My heart started racing when I realized it was the same man from Target. I was puzzled about how he found me. I sat in my car for a moment, unsure whether to go inside or leave. The man hadn't noticed me yet, so I decided to stay in my car. After a few minutes, the man got out of his car and walked towards mine. I felt scared, so I quickly locked my car doors. He knocked on my window, and I cautiously rolled it down a little. He was surprisingly calm and said sorry for following me at the store. He explained that he thought I was someone he used to know, a friend he hadn't seen in a long time. I was unsure but interested, so I listened. I asked why he didn't just talk to me earlier. He admitted he's not great with social situations and didn't want to make me uncomfortable. He apologized again, saying he didn't mean to scare me. I opened the car window a bit more. The guy showed me an old picture of a friend he hadn't seen in a long time. Surprisingly, the person in the photo looked a bit like me, especially when they were around my age. As he kept talking, I realized he genuinely wanted to reconnect with his old friend. He had mistakenly thought I was that friend. The weird encounter at Target happened because he felt awkward and didn't know how to approach me. Feeling both relieved and sorry for him, I said I wasn't the right person, but wished him good luck finding his friend. He said sorry again, went back to his car and drove away. The whole thing made me feel a lot of different emotions. It started as a weird encounter at Target and turned into a strange case of mistaken identity. It made me realize that things might not always be what they seem. and people might have reasons for doing things that we don't expect. As time passed, I couldn't stop thinking about how strange the situation was. The man's apology and his genuine search for a friend got me thinking about how complicated human interactions can be. It was a surprising twist in what was otherwise a normal night, and it made me realize how unpredictable life can be. Even though I haven't gone back to that target, the experience is a reminder that there might be a surprising and completely innocent explanation, even in unsettling situations. Life has been hard for me. Since middle school, I've been going through a lot of tough emotions like sadness and anxiety. I used to work at Starbucks inside Target. One day, a guy named Alex came into my life. Now, looking back, I realize he might have been someone who causes problems. We haven't talked in a few years, and I don't plan on talking to him anytime soon. You'll understand why. I remember a day when I was behind the store pretending to take a break. But actually, I just needed a moment to cry because life was really overwhelming, and I felt really down. That's when Alex found me. Through my teary eyes, I could barely see him. He started talking to me and somehow made me feel better. I opened up to him, telling him I was feeling suicidal and deeply depressed. I thought he was just a really nice person, willing to help someone going through a tough time. Little did I know, he had some serious problems of his own. His name wasn't actually Alex. His name was Jake. Jake comforted me when I was sad, and we shared our phone numbers and began dating. Things were amazing at first, like the happy early days of a relationship. But over time, I started to see the real Jake, and it scared me. He was pretending to be someone he wasn't, like wearing a mask. Sometimes, when we were at his place, he acted strangely, and his true self showed, and it was really frightening. He said mean and hurtful things about me, making me believe I wasn't good enough. He told me to lose weight, work harder, and said a million other hurtful things. It made me feel like everyone in my life thought I was pathetic. The worst part was that I let everything happen. Even though he was mean, I thought he was the only person who would want to be with me. It was a really tough time. Before I knew it, he convinced me to live with him. His place was nice, but it was far from my job and my parents. I had to drive almost half an hour to Starbucks. He didn't care about that or anything else. He kept me away from everyone in my life, one by one. He started with some friends I wasn't very close to, but any contact with anyone other than him was a problem. He'd tell me that even someone I talked to once in a while hated me. There was one time he took my phone, blocked my coworker's number, and was really threatening about it. He controlled every part of my life. Things got really bad, and I was scared for my life. I felt like if it kept going, either he would hurt me or I might do something drastic to myself. One day, I realized I needed to leave. But it was tough because Jake made me cut off contact with everyone, and he always checked my phone. When I was at work, I used a coworker's phone to call my mom. It was so comforting to hear her voice. I told her what was happening, and she completely understood. She said I could come back home, and that meant a lot to me. One night, I left because Jake wasn't at home. I packed my things quietly and left without telling him anything. Usually, Jake could talk me into staying by saying the right things and making me feel like everything would be fine, like he always did. But this time, I didn't appreciate him not valuing my decision. Later, he came to my workplace trying to talk to me and convince me that things could improve. I knew he was not being honest. I ignored what he said, and it worked for a while. However, he didn't give up. One day during my break at Target, I saw him angrily looking through some glass near the Starbucks section. It scared me, and I didn't know what to do. He turned around and saw me. Our eyes met, and I felt scared. The only thing I could think to do was run away. I spun around really fast and sprinted in the opposite direction. I knew he was chasing me. It was strange how I escaped. There was a door for employees that needed a special card to open. Starbucks workers had those cards, so I used mine to get through the door and closed it behind me. A Target worker saw me and asked if I was okay. Even though things were bad, I didn't want to cause a fuss. I told him I was fine and needed a short break. I stayed in there for about 15 minutes, and when I came out, Jake was gone. That was the last time I saw him. I don't know why he hasn't contacted me since, but I'm relieved he hasn't. He caused the worst time in my life, and I'm lucky to have escaped that situation alive. Now, let me tell you, after I broke up with Jake and spent a few months rebuilding my life, I met someone unexpected. While I was working at Starbucks, a guy named Brian came in. Brian was really nice, and we started chatting. He was friendly and caring, which was a welcome change after the tough times with Jake. The surprising part was that Brian also worked at the same Target as me. It felt like fate brought us together. Brian knew about my past and was there to support me as I healed. As we got closer, Brian told me something surprising. He had a friend who knew Jake and had seen him in the area. Jake had moved on, but not in a good way. He started dating someone else, and the new girl was going through the same bad things I went through. Brian's friend overheard Jake saying he liked making her suffer, just like he did with me. It made me really sad to know someone else was going through the same terrible situation I had escaped. Brian and I decided to help. We contacted the new girl, told her our stories, and warned her about Jake's true nature. It was hard, but she eventually saw the signs and got away from him. Brian, the new girl, and I started helping each other out. We went to therapy, leaned on each other when things got tough, and slowly got our lives back on track. It wasn't just about getting away from Jake. We found real connections and turned our tough past into something that made us strong. Time passed, and we kept supporting each other. Brian and I went from being just friends to having a loving relationship based on trust and understanding. The scars from the past were still there, but they reminded us of how strong we were and how important it is to break free from bad relationships. In the end, the unexpected twist wasn't something magical, but a twist of fate that brought healing, love, and the strength to get through the toughest times.